Hey guys, this is Arunagiri with another podcast for Swara Time. I'm here with Gautam Tejas Ganeshan. He's the person who is responsible for the non-profit Sangati Center. Sangati Center operates out of Berkeley, and the center has brought together hundreds of artists of Indian classical music, and it has exposed Indian classical music to non-Indians in a way that perhaps nobody else has done it. And Gautam Tejas Ganeshan not just owns the non-profit, but he does it in a way that propagates Carnatic music very uniquely. What he does is he takes the best of the Trinity compositions, Varnams and other compositions of the Carnatic music. He pens his own lyrics. So we are going to be joined by him. Hi Gautam, how are you?
Hello, glad to be here. It's interesting where we are recording this, which is just a few feet from a concert that we just did.
Yeah, right.
Where I sang. We're in Oakland in the Starline Social Club. There's a ballroom upstairs. It's actually a beautiful place for a concert. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lovely day.
In fact, I was present in the concert as a person who's playing one of the. There were two tamburas, and I was playing one of the tamburas.
Yeah.
And we had an absolutely fantastic time. We had about 15 people, 20 people in the.
Yeah, 15 or 20 people.
20 people in the audience, but it was.
Including a lot of my family, both my parents, my wife, my 1.5-year-old son.
See, that's the one that's really appreciable, is to keep going no matter what comes. I really appreciate what Gautam is doing. A lot of purists out there may or may not agree with a lot of that goes on even in the Carnatic world, but to me this is very critical to bring culture to people, because culture brings people together. And
That's true.
what I would ask you, Gautam, is you were born in Texas?
In Texas, correct.
And I'm sure you grew up with a lot of Carnatic music.
I did.
In your house.
You know my father,
Right.
and he's
a great musician himself.
He is. He is. I say that, undoubtedly my most valuable inheritance is his grasp of ragam and just his, his musicianship. And in Houston, he is the guy who, when it's Tyagaraja Aradhana of Houston, he grows a beard and he's Tyagaraja. So he's like, I was exposed to quite a lot of music growing up. Although I must say, a lot of times when there was a concert, I would be the first kid to go outside and play in the rain instead of watching the concert. So it kind of came and went. But at some point, I got serious about it. Actually, it's interesting. Music was always in my life, but I as an undergraduate, I majored in philosophy, and I was into it. I really was. And eventually, I reached a ceiling of interest in, not in why I was interested in philosophy, but in philosophy as a way to do why I was interested in philosophy. And once I reached that ceiling, I realized that making music was a more thorough way to address the very same things which were the reasons why I was studying that in the first place.
So philosophy gave you actually a practical means of getting into music? Is that what you're saying?
Almost. I'm saying that it wasn't practical enough. Music is actually more practical.
Oh, okay.
That's
so
what
it
I'm
showed
saying.
you the way.
Yeah. By exhausting itself, I realized that there was another way. And luckily I had music in the background. So when I was about 17 is when I got serious. And I went to Madurai for 1 year of my undergraduate. I think that's unusual among American-born kids. And studied Tamil to some extent and studied music quite a lot. At that time I was playing violin. And then, since then I've been serious about it. And eventually I started singing more. I mean, I had always sung, but singing more. And
it's very interesting that you would segue out of philosophy.
I haven't segued. I've gone deeper into philosophy.
So what drove you? Was it the somewhat too much intellectual part of philosophy or the dryness of philosophy that said, okay, no, music is something that...
There are some people who have a vocation to philosophy proper. I am probably capable of it with a lot of effort, and not that music is not a lot of effort also, but I wouldn't want to spend my whole lifetime.
So between the
that
two,
way.
music is your path of least resistance, obviously.
I think so, and among music, singing. Oh, this generous chef here is giving us some
snacks.
lovely.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got some pickles and some bread here. Lovely.
There you go. Makes the conversation even more interesting.
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah, you were saying that music certainly is something that...
Yeah, I just love music, and it's interesting. I mean, I played violin, then I started singing. When I started singing, I would give completely free improvised concerts of what was essentially Carnatic music, but no words, just tanam and ana, nana, with no violin, just tambura, me, and mridangam, and always Anantakrishnan. He was here for 2 years. That was called New Directions in Indian classical music. Just
You
to
mean
give
Ananta R. Krishnan?
Ananta R. Krishnan.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an excellent mridangam player, and he was
course.
very, he was interested in my, well, I don't want to speak for him, but he did the concerts, and I think the reason is because I was sincere about what I was doing, and I was less skilled then than I am now. Not that I'm so skilled now, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, they're all documented. There's 14 or so full concerts recordings available on my website of that. Then I started writing songs because those concerts, there wasn't enough there. There wasn't enough structure and content and something really of value.
So two things,
Yeah.
sorry to interject.
No, please.
Two things that stand out to me, right? Because myself, I consider myself a musician because I happen to have a lot of music, right? When I was growing up from back in India, Carnatic music, and I have a certain weakness for music and people who propagate music in various ways, because that's the way they want to express it, right? And although some people may take it a bit differently, because you do have compositions of Trinity, Tyagaraja, Shyama Shastri, and Dikshiter, and even Barnums and other major composers like Papanasham Shivam. You pen your own lyrics, but you do it in English, right? One. And
Which is the only pan-Indian language.
the second thing that really sticks out to me is that you are purely acoustic in your approach to concerts. No electronic tanpuras, no mics, no...
There are mics for the sake of recording.
Yes.
And actually the last time I sang here,
Right.
we did amplify it.
Right.
And I have to clarify something.
Yeah.
All of the 400 Sangati concerts you mentioned
Yeah.
that I have arranged,
Yeah.
they were all acoustic, but it does not mean that I am against amplification.
No.
It's just that I was holding down the fort
Yes,
on-
I want you to explain what is it that drives you to sort of put that above and beyond,
First of all,
where you have
most-
so many concerts that are happening always mic'd.
even in the tiniest house concert with 10 people in the audience and the room is 40 square feet, there will be mics, and it is unnecessary. And you don't have any more vocalists who are capable of singing above mridangam. Now, it is a fair point that if you don't have microphones, certain types of subtlety are more difficult to achieve. One thing you can say is you just sing those in the alapana and leave it out of the song. And in the song, when the mridangam's playing, you go for the, parikudi type of gestures. That's one solution. The other solution is sometimes you mic, sometimes you don't. The point is that in the average experience of the modern Rasika, there are so few mic-less concerts that it's almost a vanishing thing. It's almost like it doesn't exist in the atmosphere. And people who grow up with this, artists who grow up with this, there's a certain character of music that is very rare now. A projection and not only vocalists, also mridangam has suffered because of this. A lot of times I see the mic is so close to the skins that a natural, graceful movement is prevented.
Yeah.
And this is to the detriment of music as a whole. I do a good job of recording my concerts. I am willing.
And I've listened to them. They're pretty good. Yeah.
Look where the mics are.
Yes.
Never there is a mic near the mridangam. And actually, there was a talk at the RKA Convention Center a few weeks ago about archiving Carnatic music. Some guy, S.L. Narasimhan, gave the talk. He made the same point halfway through the talk. It's an hour-long talk. I'm not sure how many people watched the whole thing. But he made the point. He showed a video which had an excellent mridangam sound, and he said, not one top mridangam player today gets this sound in the concerts. The mridangam itself may sound good, but in the concert experience of the audience, they don't get this. Why? Look where the mic is in this recording. Mridangam player is sitting there. There's one mic 5 feet or 6 feet away from him, and yet the sound is very good. So there's a blind faith in a certain regime of miking. There must be a mic near the right side. There must be a mic near the left side. This mic must be next to the singer. The mic must be almost touching the violin strings. This is not necessary. Even if you need to amplify, it's not necessary. Not to mention, in many settings, you don't need to amplify. And so,
what does it require then? So from a vocalist point of view, I think I've sung one concert that you had organized among a series of concerts back in Berkeley, Sangati Subterranean Art House.
Yeah, right.
And to me, that was about a 2-hour concert. And I agree, I think I understand your point, but let me just tell you what I experienced. It requires a lot of wherewithal, it requires a lot of endurance to maintain yourself, to be able to sit through the 2-hour concert and sing above and beyond the acoustic levels produced by the instruments around you.
It does.
Right? So tell me more about it.
Yeah, it does. And as I said before, not all types of music will survive in that environment. There are certain types of singing which are beautiful, which are lost in that.
Which kind of environment? Miking, you mean?
No, not miking.
Not
both.
Okay.
Every situation supports certain things. And also there are certain people who have a character musically which does not really survive in loud environment. But
so Carnatic music is one such which...
No, the field I'm talking about is Carnatic music. Within that, I'm saying.
I see.
But I think the pendulum has swung too far. That's my point. More people should be able to sing 2-hour micless concerts comfortably than are currently. I am comfortable making that statement. And the culprit is pervasive amplification.
I think
and not only that, also there are some other things. Even in a hall like we're in right now, which is not huge, but it's big enough that if it were full, you would want amplification. Even in that situation, when you amplify, the primary sound the audience hears should still be the real sound. The amplification is an augmentation. It is not replacing the actual sound of the mridangam or the voice. So this is a problem that most sound engineers think once the sound gets into their system, they're in control. And whatever they do is what people hear. That's not how it should be. You should still primarily hear the real thing, and the sound system should support. Unless you're in a huge stadium where the people in the back can't hear anything.
Right.
But in a hall like this is 90% of Carnatic music concerts happen in halls this size or smaller. And so what I'm saying should be true for all of those. That the real sound should be the main thing. And whatever good speakers you have, and in most concerts it is not good speakers and not good microphones and not careful sound check, but even if it were, it is not as good of a sound as the actual real sound.
Have you spoken to sound engineers on this at all? Maybe
sometimes at my own concerts I do.
Have. Okay. But is there any take that they have on this particular miking? And because I know sometimes
a good sound engineer is a major asset. But in your average Carnatic concert, you're not dealing with a good sound engineer. SIFA has a good guy. This Robbie guy.
Rob. Oh,
Yeah. He adds a lot to concerts.
I thought he's a great guy to work with.
Yeah.
Because he appreciates the nuances also. I think
he does.
He has. So you need to have that musical ear as well, right? And then that love for the art. I think.
And I mean, You saw me set up just now. I'm not a Luddite. I have all kinds of technical stuff. I mean, right now we're being recorded by something that,
So you're not against technology,
No,
but
not at all.
You just want to make
But
a point.
the tambura is a more sophisticated technology than any microphone.
Shruti or a
Yeah,
Shruti
and
box or
the technology of singing in Shruti
Right.
is better than the technology of any microphone.
I think that's the virtuosity where I think we were talking about it. Staying in Shruti. You can do all sorts of acrobatics, but if you're not falling back on the Adhara tonic sa, I think it pretty much negates all your...
It makes it all, correct. And it's not easy. I mean, okay, I'm a quote-unquote professional musician. Not saying I'm the greatest, but good enough that I'm willing to charge people to come see me. Okay, that's what that means, professional musician. Nonetheless, when I listen to my concerts, I hear a lot of, not exactly out of tune. It's rare that I'm completely out of tune, to the point that it's jarring. But I hear a lot of...
once in a while, landing notes.
Could be better, or the middle of the gamakam. Okay, the ends of the gamakam, the boundaries are fine, but the middle doesn't sound...
The traversing...
What the North Indians call sur is not there. It's not so simple. It's not a matter of adjust the pitch so that it's the right frequency and you'll be fine. It's not so simple as that. There's a lot of factors. There's vowel, there's the resonance of the room. There could be a frequency being reinforced by the room that is wrong, so to speak, so I have to take account. There's a lot of things. So I can work on that and improve. But no amplification is going to help that situation.
Right, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's such an internal concept that Shruti Shubham, right? And I was talking to my music teacher, and she was telling me, who's a good friend of mine as well, that I think one of the great artists told her, no matter what master you are in terms of music, you are always slave to Shruti. And movement to movement, note to note, phrase to phrase, everything has to be attuned, in tune, and I think that's what infuses that Saukhyam, that serenity.
Totally.
Right, a peace.
So I have a story about Ananta R. Krishnan.
Sure.
He's a stickler about his mridangams. And people who know him know this. And one time I was just at a private session at his house, and I'm aware this is going to go on a podcast, so I'm going to tell the good version of the story. But there was another guy there, another mridangam player, who wanted to, I was singing something and he wanted to play accompaniment. So he was using Anand's mridangam.
Okay.
So he was a little bit scared to tune it. And he didn't want to whack it and miss and make something. So he said, he asked permission. He said, is it okay if I tune this? And Anand's response was priceless. He said, if you don't tune it, don't play anything. You understand why I'm saying that in this context. There's no point in playing mridangam if it's not Shruti. And actually, I must say, mridangists are, in general, need to work on this. The mridangam Shruti is a big part of Shruti of the concert. And I have had the experience of having a mridangam player who plays tastefully but doesn't tune enough, and their slight being out of Shruti throws it out of whack.
Yeah,
It actually physically throws it out of whack. There is physical resonance between the sounds that are coming, and if it's a little off, it kind of
completely
shuts it down. So I'm making a plea here. Mridangists who are listening to this, it is very important that you tune. Take time. Don't worry about it. If you need to spend 5 minutes, it's worth it. As Anand says, don't play if you're not going to tune.
So the second part of the question that I asked you before was your penning the lyrics, right?
Yes.
So tell us more about, I know you've listened to a lot of Carnatic music. When was that first seed of thought occur in your mind?
I have a very clear answer to this.
Please, go ahead.
My wife's sister's wedding in Ohio. I'm aware of the audience for this podcast, and nonetheless I'll tell the following. For about 2 weeks straight, I had one cupcake, and at least one cupcake and one beer every day. Every single day.
When was this?
2010. No, 11. I was married in 2010, in Ohio. I wasn't giving any concerts. There was no reason not to just let myself go.
It was not that far back. So it was
2011 was my first song.
I see.
It was based on Maru Balka. Yeah, and I still sing that song. And I was in my wife's parents' house in Ohio. And I was just, daily, we were, helping make the wedding happen. And so I had a lot of free time. And based on no design, this song just started coming to me. And I recorded it with pen and paper. And so be it.
So 2011.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first performance I gave was in 2012 of these songs.
So that's when you came, you overlapped with Ananta Krishnan.
That
Because
was
he was a
between
student.
2008, 2010.
So what was he doing here? Was he?
He was a student at Mills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I heard you today. I've heard you before.
Yeah.
I think the last concert I heard you was in Subterranean.
Right.
That unfortunately shut down for some reason. You
Yeah.
just told me. Yeah. I think that was a great play. Much cozier than this is.
Yes.
And I like the fact that it's so organic. People just walk. I mean, when I was singing, people just walking in, on an evening in Berkeley, very vibrant. You would never ever find something like that. That non-Indians just coming and walking in. It was like a mixture of course, your friends and family.
Yeah.
But it's a great fun. I think a lot of people are going to miss that.
That's true.
The question that I had was, in terms of the... So yeah, going back to Sangati Center, I remember my concert there, and it was a fantastic experience of people just walking in on a Saturday evening. My concert was at 6:30, late evening, I think. It was a fantastic experience. I think they would miss that because some reason the center shut down.
Yeah.
The Subterranean Art House.
It lasted 7 years.
So, how has been the response from other art-loving or art circle institution, organizations, media? I do see there are press quotes. So, can you talk something about your effort?
Okay, so there's a number of ways to respond to this. One way is that being a professional artist of any kind is a slog. And there's some I saw something on Facebook recently, somebody who made a CV of all his failures. You've seen this?
No.
Because most people just see the successes and they think, oh, you must be doing very well. But the proportion of failures to successes is 10 to 1 at least. So from that perspective, the answer to your question is the response is very bad. But that's just the nature of things. It's pretty competitive. There's a lot of artists of all kinds. I'm not speaking of Carnatic music. I'm talking in general. My life as a professional artist here. So it is not really seemly to complain and say, oh, it's hard, because everybody has it hard. That's just the nature of it. If you are a painter, then everybody who has a house needs you. If you're a Carnatic musician, most people don't care about you. So you have your work cut out for you. Not that it's easy to be a painter either, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, painter as in not a
an
artist painter,
like a
but
guy with a roller and a white cloth,
Right. It's a very niche expression of your creativity.
Now,
right?
although that's true, I play my hand as if it's not, because I want to expose people to the music who may not have seen it and who may not know. I mean, as Steve Jobs said, people don't know what they want. You tell them what they want. Some people who've never heard this don't know that they like it. So the real way to, this was all a disclaimer. The real way to answer your question is generally the response is good. People who take the time to come to this kind of concert, it's a self-selecting demographic. Okay? I'm not just going on the street and singing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those people who come and sit tend to respond well. So even among people who are familiar with or even are rasikas of Carnatic music, musicians generally respond very well because they can tell I've done my homework. Serious Rasikas, same. Mid-level Rasikas, that's where there's a mix. Some people are willing to go with what I'm doing, and some people say this and that, critically, which is fine,
Yeah, there'll be critics.
Yeah, sure.
So, in terms of then the response...
By the way, I take those criticisms as a evidence that I need to do my job better.
On the way that the audience walks in, have there been anybody who's really interested in promoting this or covering this in some kind of a blog or an article or something that happened to be, or how did you end up meeting them?
Yes.
Ended up picking up your efforts?
A variety of ways.
I see.
I've been on the radio many times. Most of them, a majority of them are KPFA in Berkeley.
I see.
And a majority of those are this one woman, Joanna Moncaros, who hosts Music of the World program once a week. There are other hosts of that program, and I've been on the program with other hosts also, but mostly with her over the years. She just likes Indian music in general. She liked the Sangati Center, and she found something of interest in what I did. So when I had a concert coming up, she would say, why don't you come on the show, talk about what you're doing, do a demonstration on the air, and we'll give away some tickets to promote the show. Okay.
So that's how, okay.
Yeah, that's one example. Then, I did a double header with Karavika, which is, we were talking earlier about the Brooklyn Raga Massive.
Yeah.
They're one of the groups who plays with Brooklyn Raga Massive. Years ago, we did a show here at Ashkenaz in Berkeley.
Right.
So their group kind of has a chamber music aesthetic. It's like a cello and a violin. And so a reviewer from SF Classical Voice, which reviews classical music, Western classical music, came to the show and reviewed me also, because I did half the show with Vignesh Venkataraman, Mridangam, Mohan, flute, and somebody, Christina, tambura. So that's one thing. So, this is the work of being a professional. I wish it were enough to just be a musician, and maybe there are people for whom it is enough. But I am interested in making a statement also. I mean, I have to admit that.
Yes.
And so that takes its own work of making a splash.
So that's one reason why I think I understand, but maybe you can explain very briefly why you chose not to stay back in Madras and try to do something, or you've been there and you collected some of your experiences, then you decided to do this, or was it a combination of factors?
I respect people like Sandeep Narayan and Ramakrishan Murthy and Akshay Anantapatmanabhan and these guys who are like me, born here or mostly raised here, and who go there and that's their thing.
Yeah.
If I were doing the type of performances they're doing, which are very difficult to do, it's full-fledged Carnatic music. I know that.
I agree.
If I were doing that, I would go there. But I'm not doing that, and two, I'm married here, and I have a kid here and a house here.
You have establishments.
Yeah, there's other things going on in my life. And not only that, but so after I got married, I lived in Chidambaram for 6 months. And at that time, me and my wife were thinking, are we going to make a go of it here, or are we going to stay in the States, or what? And I speak Tamil okay, I read and write okay, not that good. It's a struggle for me. So, in one Janmam, how many challenges am I going to voluntarily take on myself?
So you want to pick the battles that you can.
Yeah,
really
I am not the one to go there. There is somebody born there who has it in his nature to do that, and it's not me.
I think that's very important. I think
it's hard enough here for me.
Yeah, but how many people realize that, right? You need to have maybe the philosophy that you did gave you that maturity to sort of do the inward journey to understand what your weaknesses and strengths are, right? You don't want to ace everything that everybody does, and you probably shouldn't do that. And I think you settled for something that you feel is closest to your heart, and you're happy doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really great, and that's what really attracts the whole concept too.
And what I am doing in itself has some value, and I'm the only one doing it. So that means I should do it.
Right. It's the uniqueness of this whole effort, right? before we end, I think, can you explain, so after you ended your main Bhairavi piece, right? You did the Nanuru Vilayattu Bommaiya. I could see your parents were really...
My father used to sing that.
I know. It's such a endearing song.
Especially with the baby.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, beautiful, very touching composition.
Amma,
So can you sing a little bit of that particular thing in Tamil and say the words in your lyrics in English and then sing that as well? Would you like to do that?
Nanuru Vilayattu Bommaiya Jagan Nayakiye Ummaye Undanukku, something like that. Right? Finally my favorite pants began to fray. One fine day what was mine fell away, became undone. And I have to put this in context for those people hearing me for the first time. This song is kind of a joke. All my songs are not about taking off my pants, for God's sake. But nonetheless, I do not forsake a serious message in the song. Finally, my favorite pants began to fray. That's the metaphor. What was mine? One fine day, what was mine became undone. That's the point, right? Whatever you set store by goes away. Then the next verse, learning, unraveling, everything is changing in time's carefree hands like a child's playing. So the point is, time, like a child who breaks everything, goes on and learning, as it learns, it unravels and plays and destroys your life. Or what you have invested in doesn't mean anything. It's gone.
I think, you know what, I strongly believe, and I've underscored this in your previous concert that I attended in Subterranean Art House as well. You should do a video or an audio blog, take the time and explain, really reach out to people.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that would really, because it's very easy to do that. You can just put a camera.
You might be right.
Right?
I have sometimes
I don't know. I'm not trying to say that you should do it, but you may or may not. But maybe you can think about it because it's really fantastic.
Here's what I've thought. What I've thought is, so I do a pretty good job of recording my concerts,
right? And
I post recordings of those,
right?
Which all you people listening, you should go see those on my website.
I've been to your live concerts. Yeah.
But along the lines of what you're suggesting, what I have thought is that I should record each song individually and sort of, in its best version.
Yeah, so cherry pick, like this song is, everybody knows. Nanuru Vilayattu Bommaiya is anybody, is smallest child will know because it's a lullaby, it's a yearning of the heart of a bhakta to the reality of the Almighty.
I think that the DKP version
is a DK. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows this. Right? So, and then there is a deeper meaning that you bring. So you don't compromise the music behind it.
No.
There is a meaning to the lyrics.
Right.
Why not make people understand it? It doesn't have to be all the songs, right? Cherry pick some
so
songs.
Here's the thing.
Maybe
my wife Deepa feels that my songs come across best when I sing purely solo.
Right.
No violin, no mridangam.
Okay.
There's some truth to that.
Oh yeah, even better, right? That's the whole point of being in a video or audio blog, right?
Right.
Think about it. I don't know. I may be...
No. You have a point.
Because I think it reflects your, maybe, I don't know, there are underpinnings of philosophy that you have. I think it all...
Certainly there are.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll say this. I may be a passable musician, but I am an excellent songwriter. If I have to be judged by something, it is songwriting more than musicianship as of now.
You know what I really like about Gautam, and I think listeners, I think you will agree that he's super comfortable in his own skin. He knows his strengths and he knows what he should not be doing. So I think the conviction is what drives one to do what they are doing in the worst of the situation that you might be facing. I think that really, I appreciate what Gautam is doing. If you have a chance to be around Berkeley or Oakland, I think he posts, he's now active on Facebook as well. There are a lot of these
Yeah, I'll say again, I spend some effort to record my concerts well these days.
Yeah.
So anybody anywhere, even if you're not in Berkeley or Oakland, you can take some time and see what I've posted. I always post the full concert. That's how I love concerts, not picking one or two songs. I mean, I listen to concerts at a time, 2 hours, 3
They're
hours.
unedited. You just.
Well, it's not safe to say unedited.
Okay.
I mean, once I start the footage,
Yeah.
I don't cut it until the end.
Right. That's
So
what I'm
in
saying.
that sense, unedited.
Yeah.
But it takes some effort to produce a film.
Oh,
Look,
yeah,
if you give a concert and you just put an iPhone there, the resulting footage will not do justice to the concert. It takes some effort to record it well, film it well, and do a good job. I don't make professional films, but I make good
No, I've heard
films.
they are very good.
Yeah.
They're very, very, very. I mean, yeah, they may not be professional like a film studio level,
Right.
but they're very good in terms of listening.
They're
to
excellent documents.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, good documentation.
Yeah.
So I would say, I think not just documentation. I think you have to be in one of these concerts to really experience the uniqueness of bringing music with an original thought of penning lyrics and also bringing people together. So with that thought, I wish you all the best, Gautam,
Thank you.
and I would want to be in one of your concerts once again.
Oh,
sometime soon.
gladly. Thank you.
All right. So thank you.
Very good.